How do we make a conscious choice from this lifetime to the next? Well, you're in the right place because the more you breathe space into the tension in your body, the more you release the information from the past, this lifetime, and others, the freer you are in the transition space, the easier it is for your consciousness of your soul to make a choice for the next lifetime. Aloha, good morning, everyone. Welcome. So great to see all of you here. Just the camera just a little bit. Okay, yes, thank you. I was just going to ask for an audio check, and it looks like you all can hear me. Fantastic. So for those of you who are at the Friday session, the healing session was truly amazing. Um, just adding the music to the background, I think, really increased the connection for the group to be in a greater state of coherence together. So that was really wonderful. If you were there, thank you so much. I have a few announcements. I have mentioned these things before. The Bali trip will be in September. There will be space for only 10 people. So if you are interested in having a transformational experience with the Blue Healers and me channeling in Bali, it'll be a week long. And I'm still working on the dates. The venue is getting back to me about what their availability is. It's at a private villa, so know that we have our own space. It will be quite lovely. So if you can make it, that would be great. Just put that on your calendars as a possibility if you're interested. The children's retreat is the first week of August. There will be more information about that coming. And also, there will be a membership group coming along, not in March. It will be a little closer to April. All right, and that's all the announcements I have for today. I'm going to go ahead and put it in speaker view so that you can all have some space and privacy. I did notice, however, there's one person who does not have a name, and I do require, so one thing I do require is that everyone has a name instead of iPhone. So if you are the iPhone person, if you would please go in and change your name, all you have to do is hover over your tile that says iPhone. There are three little dots. If you click on the dots, it will give you an option to rename yourself. When you click on rename, what it does is it allows you a little text box so you can type in your name. And maybe the assistants for today, the volunteers could help with that. I know sometimes technology can be a little confusing. So if you don't know how to do it, that's okay. Reach out to Azra, or Azra, if you could reach out to them and give them some assistance with the name change. That'd be great. All right. Um, one more exciting thing, a new breathwork practice has been released, and I'm going to share that with you. It is related to the importance of being grounded. So, a lot of times in our meditations, in our experiences with connecting into the quantum field, we like to be up here in the upper energy centers. So, if you're not familiar with the term energy centers, you're new to the group, it's simply another way to say chakras. So if you're familiar with the chakras, we have 8 above the head. Oh, I like that, how it how it showed up. It looks like the moon. And it is small, it's above the head, it's about this big, and it can expand and contract yeah, depending on how you choose to use it. 7, 6, 5, 4 are the ones you can see on the screen. 3 at the stomach or where the ribs come together. 2 is just below the belly button, and 1 is at the base of the spine. And then, of course, we work with 0, which is a lot like 8, but it's below the first energy center, and it's between the base of the spine and the knees. And that's how we do our connection to the earth itself. So when we're getting into coherence, oftentimes we focus on 4, 5, 6, and 7, all this wonderful celestial energy in the upper energy centers. But lately, the Blue Healers have been encouraging us to really focus on aligning all of the 7 basic energy centers in the physical body, which means that 1, 2, and 3 would like to be included as well. And that is our connection to the earth, because we are both celestial and earth beings, right? We come from origins off planet. And then, of course, we're here in an incarnation on earth. Connecting those energy centers is a really great way for being in alignment, not only with our purpose that we may have from our starseed origins, but also our purpose here on earth, aligning those things together. So more and more, we're seeing breath practices that relate to that. So the breath practice I will describe now, it's a great one for you to use if you are doing these breath practices in your own time. You breathe in from the earth up through the feet. And we have had several breath practices that do this, and usually it's to the heart. But this time their direction was to breathe in from the feet all the way up to the eighth energy center. So how it looks is two lines of energy come up from the feet and they hit the first energy center. So if you imagine they go up the legs, hit the first energy center and begin that spiral all the way up to 8. And at 8, that's the top of the in breath. And then the exhale is taking the energy from 8 to strand, right? Just mimicking the DNA strands that we have back down to the heart. And from the heart, those strands split and go out through the palms. So this is both beneficial for balancing the celestial and earth energies in the body, creating a deeper and more solid coherence, getting into that quantum field as it relates to the quantum channel within the spine. So practicing today, we're going to do this breath together. So go ahead and close your eyes and we'll start where we always start. And I see there's stuff going on in the chat. So go ahead and do your natural breathing and begin your check-in with your body. And I'm going to handle the chat. All right. Yeah. So you are tapping into your natural breath and allowing yourself to create space in any areas of tension in the body. So any muscles that are tense today, breathe in space. And of course, exhaling love and connection, allowing the energy of the body to be wide and expansive for the work that you'll do today here. And continuing to look inward and see where there may be areas of inconsistency in your thoughts. So maybe for those of you in the morning, waking from dreams that have created emotional responses, or perhaps you're in the middle of your day and you're just now coming back to center, allowing all those thoughts to just fade away. And when you are ready, we will begin with a new breath practice. And the reminder of how to do it is on the in-breath, breathe in from the feet to the first energy center, allowing the spiral of the breath to go up the spine to 8. With the exhale, release from 8, spiraling down to 4, down the arms and out the palms with the completion of the exhale. Breathe in from the feet to 8, spiraling around the spine. Release from 8 to 4, down through the arms and out through the palms. In through the feet, spiral around the spine to 8. Release from 8 down to 4 through the arms, out the palms. In through the feet to 8. Release from 8 through 4 through the palms. In through the feet, around the spine up to 8. And release from 8 to 4 down the arms through the palms. Continuing this breath at your own pace for 6 more cycles. In through the feet, around the spine to 8. Very nicely done. 2 more cycles. In through the feet, around the spine to 8. Release to 4 down the arms through the palms. And continue this cycle as the dimensional beings enter the space. We, the blue healers, are joined with you and the violet beings, the earth dimensional beings you call Sasquatch, the 12th dimensional beings, Andromedans, Pleiadians, Arcturians, and an amphibious group from Lyra. The beings of your individual starseed origins arrive in your space with your permission. Continuing the breath through the feet, around the spine, up to 8. And release from 8 to 4 down the arms, through the palms. If there is a part of your body that requires healing today, place your palms in that area very gently, either with your intention or with your actual hands. Continuing the breath through the feet around the spine to 8. There is a new dimensional group here today. They have arrived with Lori. They are from the lower region of your planet. Continuing the breath as instructed. You are all coming into coherence together. When that has occurred, we will begin taking questions. Please continue the breath. Very nicely done. You may continue this breath throughout the session, particularly if you are affected by neurological challenges. This breath is excellent for reminding the nervous system to remain calm in the earth energies. For those of you adept at doing our other breath practices, the spiral breath or the heart breath, you may choose to do one of those or any of the others we have taught you as well. And reader, when you are ready, we will begin with the first question.
The first question comes from Panthea. Can I use my intention to direct my healing meditations and prayers for my daughter who is not yet in a place to do it for herself? Thank you.
This wonderful question is and has an answer for all of you. So many of you exist in a world where your awareness is greater than those around you, and you would love very much to assist others in their healing process. So the answer is both yes and no. When a child is still a minor, of course it is at the parent's discretion to do or have healing work done for the child. However, keep in mind that it is important to maintain a sense of coherence and connection within your heart. So what are your intentions behind healing a minor child? Is it your intention to heal them, or is there a genuine need for healing required in the heart of the child? In other words, can coherence be brought into the child through a healing process? For example, a child is sick in its mother's arms, and the mother, with great love, brings her own heart into coherence, either consciously or unconsciously, and the child automatically aligns with the mother's heart. That is, in essence, a healing session for the child. So if your child is a minor and you are in a pure state of coherence in your heart and their heart will automatically come into a rhythm and a pattern together. And you can create intention around it by using the breath practice that we have offered to you, the heart breath, where you breathe in through 6 and 5 to the heart. When you release the energy from the front of the heart and circle it around to the back of your heart energy center, you can visualize your child in front of you. Your heart energy goes out and through theirs to their back, and it circles around to your back and up your spine to the 8th energy center, whereby creating a cycle of love and connection with the heart. You can do this with a child of any age. You can do it with any loved one. You are simply sharing your heart energy, your own vibrational pattern and frequency of health, wellness, and coherence. So with a minor child, you have a little bit more control over the choices that you make for them. This is their karmic agreement. They have come in with you as their parent, and you will make choices for them until they reach the age of adulthood. Keep in mind that the age of adulthood could be varied in specific cases, but the age of adulthood for most children is no less than 14, more likely 16 or 17 is the age of maturity within the child in terms of making their own decisions for energetic connection. The heart breath, however, can be done with anyone, and it is simply needing to be done out of love and connection for yourself. So be sure that when you do this practice, you and your heart are in a state of coherence before you begin to add in someone else. There is a caveat. Trust that if it feels wrong, if it feels tense, if it feels uncomfortable, that practice is not meant to be done with you and that person. Plain and simple. Do not force something upon yourself or another that feels out of alignment with your coherent heart. There are no other breath practices at this time that we recommend doing without the consent of another being. And so, if you have an adult child, consent is really required for healing. All you can do is use the heart breath as a form of connection. Any other healing session simply needs to have the consent of the other individual in order for it to be efficacious. It is not about anything other than that, meaning that your efforts will not align with the other person's current state of being. What that will do is create a vibrational reverberation back toward you. So your efforts to heal another without their consent will actually bring the vibrational pattern and frequency of their unwellness into and toward you. This explains how some individuals pick up or take on other people's energy. It is a lack of mindfulness around the vibrational patterns and frequencies that come toward you. It is not wrong or bad, it is simply information. So when another individual's vibrational pattern and frequency that may be less optimal than what you prefer for yourself comes at you, you have a choice. When you sense it is in your field or tapping on your field, simply say, "No, thank you. I would like to remain in my own state of coherence." For those of you with chronic perceptions of taking on other people's energy, this is incorrect information within your brain. You do not take on people's energy. Instead, their vibrational pattern and frequency of lack of harmony, illness, disease, dysfunction, whatever you wish to call it, simply is knocking on the door of the same vibrational pattern that is somewhere within you. There's nothing wrong with you. All humans have imprints, vibrational patterns and frequencies within them that come from the many lifetimes, the two-strand DNA of their parents, cultural habits and patterns acquired in the formative years of life, and myriad other information patterns and frequencies within you that are a little bit out of alignment with the coherence that you are choosing to have in your body. So consider it a gift when you feel you've taken on somebody else's stuff. You have not. Instead, their stuff is saying to your stuff, "I recognize you, and I'm here to dance." For which you can say to yourself, "I'm going to take my gaze inward to the place where that stuff resides. It feels a little icky. It feels a little angry. It feels a little sad. Whatever it is, identify it in your own body and say to it, who are you? What are you? And what information do you have for me at this time? Once this information is illuminated, and likely it will evoke feelings, sensations, memories of your own childhood in this incarnation, because that's all it is. It is an echo, a memory of a habit and pattern that was acquired prior to the full development of your brain. So in the formative years, children activate through their experiences something within that came from previous lifetimes, starseed origins, and etc. Do not be confused into thinking you can bubble wrap your children and lock them in the closet. This is a normal part of the human experience. For many, they fall asleep and suffer throughout their lives until they pass on to the next incarnation, only to do it all over again. But if you are in this room, you are actively exploring your internal world. Kudos to you for being here. And by actively exploring your inner world, you get to face those vibrational patterns and frequencies of what brought you into being exactly who you are right now in this time and space. What a tremendous blessing these things are. So, the original question was, can I assist my daughter in her healing process, even though she's not quite ready to make the choices for herself? And the answer is the best way, the fastest way to assist any loved one, particularly someone in your family, someone who shares your DNA, is to look at the stuff within you that feels a little icky, that feels a little off. Bring that information into coherence within your own heart, because the higher your vibrational frequency is, the increased likelihood that anyone who shares your DNA, and if you think about it, all humans probably on some level share DNA, that your higher vibrational frequency will reverberate out to remind your daughter, remind the vibrational patterns and frequencies of health and wellness within her to be a little bit stronger than the other vibrational patterns and frequencies, the other voices that are within her. So that is the best way, the most effective way to assist another person with healing, is that you shine so brightly that you dissolve into nothing, and your light casts away the shadows in the individuals around you. And proximity does not matter. Your light, when it shines, will illuminate every person on the planet to some degree. Those who share your DNA will feel it much more quickly and much more strongly. And as you change your DNA, it will automatically change theirs as well. Try less to fix others and assume more of the responsibility of your own inner darkness, your own inner tension, and the many voices in your head trying to guide and direct you away from your heart. We will take the next question.
The next question comes from Mark. I am having a hard time understanding the blue being energy that I experience in meditation. How do I create a better line of communication with them for me as a human to understand this blue energy and what they are trying to tell me?
Thank you for your question, Mark, because many people in this space would like this answer as well. How do you connect to dimensional beings who are around you at all times? And more specifically, you asked how to connect to us. The simplest answer is we have translated our transmissions into the breath practices we have released to you. There are many of them out there. More than 20 breath practices have been released to your kind. And the individual breath practices can be combined with others. However, some of you are still a little resistant to creating a habit and pattern around the breath practices we have released. Let us remind you once again, there are many ways to the center. If you are finding that in your meditations it is the only time that you connect, remember that it is maybe not best practice to try to maintain a meditative space while driving your car, operating machinery, sitting in a meeting, flying an airplane, or whatever it is that humans do. But no matter what, even if you are in a meeting or driving a car or flying a plane or operating machinery, you're breathing. So aim to make the breath practice, particularly the heart breath, the spiral breath, and the breath that we gave you today, from the feet to the first energy center, around the spine to 8, from 8 down to the heart, from the heart out through the arms, through the palms. Once you practice this enough, your body will go into the unconscious mode of breathing in a way that is a remembrance of our breath practice. So you will forget that you are breathing from 8 to 1 in a spiral, releasing from 1 to 8 in a spiral, because you'll be busy making breakfast for your children or doing some activity that involves sports. But the breath will continue to inform you. The breath will continue to open you and allow your heart to create a sense of connection to dimensional beings. The breath practice is particularly a connection to us, yet we allow that open channel to exist as well for your starseed origins. They are aware of this, and they know that when you are breathing, you are inviting into your cells the information of the dimensional beings around you. So in terms of communication, yes, you will, for the most part, need to close your eyes and draw in the breath with intention, and even count if necessary, in for 6 or 7, out for 6 or 7, to regulate your nervous system into being calm, allowing coherence within the energy centers. And then you will begin to communicate. You are a sensory being, and so it is not just with your ears per se that you hear communication. You know this to be true. Human body language is easy to interpret, although you're not always accurate with what you perceive. It's easy to interpret with the eyes. When people are angry, it's obvious. When they are sad and crying, it's obvious without them ever saying anything. But if you close your eyes and you are holding a very sad child in your arms, you feel it. When you have your eyes closed and you hold a child who is happy and connected, you feel it. The same is true of your loved ones or of random people on the subway. Close your eyes. Feel into the people in the room. Each one has a distinct vibrational pattern and frequency. It is familiar to you because you're human and they're human, and you understand the human vibrational pattern and frequency. Yet you are also a hybrid. You have starseed information from somewhere else, and that familiarity exists as well. So do the same thing. Come into coherence in your meditations. Tap into your heart, your brain, your belly simultaneously, and reach out with your thoughts. Say to us, or your starseed origin. Say, who are you? Where are you in proximity to my body right now? And why are you here? What messages do you have for me? So many of you would like for this to be a simple conversation. You speak to them, and in your very own language, they speak back to you. You hear their thoughts, and you experience telepathy because your movies, your science, your books have told you that's how it works. Imagine, however, a little bit more. Maybe you smell something, and your mind will automatically try to slot it into a category before you. Maybe you hear a sound, and you try to figure out what that is in your surroundings. Maybe you think it's your children or your neighbor, your dog, something in the room around you. Again, stop, breathe, turn your gaze inward. That sound is related to something within you. The smell is related to something within you. And then, of course, there is hearing in a different way. Simply hearing the voice of your starseed being speaking to you. Many of you discounted already, saying, I'm making this up. It's my imagination. Well, of course it is, because you are talking to a being who is not within your visual range. So you have to use your other senses if you cannot see the being. Trust that the voice you hear is speaking to you. And allow yourself to consider the possibility that their message is just that, a message from them. Also be mindful that your own mind will try to get in the way. It is because you all have been taught that if you are seeing the unseen world, you're a little crazy. So the universe is mostly unseen. The 3D realm is such a small part of existence. So begin to train yourself to understand the languages of the beings who are speaking to you. We will speak to you a certain way, and your starseed origin being will speak to you perhaps in the same way. The more you trust in your heart coherence, the more you trust the messages that come to you have some meaning, and the more you allow yourself to interpret it in a way that creates expansion in your heart, the more you will begin to recognize that you've been communicating with us all along, communicating with your starseed origins all along. It is just that your human capabilities of thought and interpretation and confusion have gotten in the way of you understanding the message as it comes through. And the more you practice communication with us, or your starseed origin beings, the easier it will be for you to continue the conversation. We will take the next question, please.
The next question comes from Valerie. How can I help the blue healer stimulate my stem cells in my retinas to trigger them to regrow from a mystery degeneration that has taken half my sight?
We thank you for this question. And it sounds as if you have an idea of how to fix what you perceive to be a problem. You have already decided that you need to create stem cells. Why is it that you are making this choice to limit yourself in the healing process? Sure, creating stem cells is a goal that you could have. Yet perhaps there is more information in the quantum field about how to heal your sight that has nothing to do with human stem cells. So while you are busy focusing on something that you think is the way to fix your condition, we might recommend something more. And that is, let go of the idea that you know how to fix yourself. Let go of the idea that you are required to fix yourself. Because likely the condition emerged from that. You having this sense in your mind that you have to fix yourself, and probably you have to fix others. If a child were to believe that they have to fix everything in their world, surely it would create issues with seeing into the future, seeing the path before them. Your condition is not rooted in a 3D problem. Instead, it has emotional implications from your childhood. Something occurred somewhere along the way where you made a decision that not to see was better than seeing everything going on. We're not here to analyze, to predict, to change, or to fix any of you. All we can do is to look into you and, keeping the question in mind, illuminate that which you already know. So you ask us these questions, and we pull the answers out of you, out of your heart, and what you already know about yourself. Your eyesight is perfectly fixable if you let go of the idea that you have to fix it. Instead, approach your eyes, your body, your experience with love, with expansion. Allow the tension around this situation to dissolve, just as we say at the beginning of every session. Allow the breath to create space in areas of tension. By doing so, you dissolve the energy of tension within you. So you may begin by dissolving the energy of tension within your eyes, with the breath bringing love into and illuminating your eyes, your brain, the field upon which your vision rests. And you may hear voices in your head of the past, fear, or a sense of urgency. Fix it fast before it's gone. Allow the breath to expand and illuminate those thoughts as well. You are not in a race to fix something before what you perceive to be an end. Instead, breathe love and connection into your condition into your heart, illuminating all of the things that led you to this moment in time, and honestly looking at whatever it is that got you here. You've done nothing wrong. You are human, and all humans have experiences that are positive, perceived to be positive, perceived to be negative. And the narratives that you create around those experiences are generally more limiting than the experience itself. Because if you think about it, this moment is already over. And now this moment is over. And we did not try to grasp at those moments, did we? They simply passed on because you subscribe to the concept of time. But as you are healing your eyes, expand your awareness into timelessness. When there is no timeline on this experience of breathing love and connection into your heart, into your brain, into your belly, into your condition, it will not matter when the healing occurs. And the moment you let go of that, the healing will be complete, and your body will take the time it needs to catch up to the completion. We will take the next question.
The next question comes from Deepa. Can you help me understand the ecosystem of consciousness beyond physical life? When our loved ones pass from this earth, where does their soul and consciousness go? Are they among interdimensional beings such as yourselves? And do they ever enter our space to interact with us?
We love this question. It is such a wonderful way to begin to understand your nature as a 3D being with connections to the other dimensions at will. Death on your planet is the cessation of existence within a body. That is all. The body itself, as explored in your mythology, is part of the earth. It is matter that is created from the material on your earth. However, within that matter is information that you may call a soul. It is a good word to describe it. And the soul itself has a little bit of gravity that brings together pertinent information for the expression that becomes you. If that information did not have weight or gravity, you would cease to exist in a body in the exact form that you have now. So when the soul is released from a body and matter chooses to return to become something more, something different in the 3D world, the habits, patterns, and vibrational frequencies that we describe as you in a state of gravity is released into what you might describe as the fourth dimension. This is the dimension of transition. It is not the same concept, the fourth dimension, throughout the universe, but this is the earth concept. And in that place of being in between lifetimes, because the vast majority of you return to your Earth for another grand adventure as a human or another type of being, the spirit has access to its loved ones and, yes, can visit you. This is what you call ghosts and spirits. You could say that all of you are dimensional beings, interdimensional beings. And when you leave the body and you are floating in the fourth dimension, you have ceased to exist in 3D. Yet you still kind of exist in 3D because there is so much power and force in the memories of your history that your disembodied spirit, your soul, remains connected to 3D, yet is in the unseen realm of the 3D world. And let us clarify one step further. You're not completely unseen when you are out of your body. This is obvious to cats, dogs, other animals, and often children. So, we leave this conundrum, this thought to you. When the soul leaves its body, does it actually leave 3D? Or is it just that it slips out of your visual capacity? Thus, we categorize the soul, the spirit, that is still around you as being in another dimension. It makes it easier for the conversation with the human mind. What often happens post-death is there is a guide or a helper, a dimensional being who assists you as an individual when you've left your body into the next lifetime. This guide is a little like a counselor or a handler, depending on how you wish to perceive the guide. It is a spirit, a being who is familiar with you, who is assisting you in making a choice for your next lifetime, for your next leg of the journey. And for some of you, you will leave the planet entirely. You will return to your starseed origin space or incarnate in another 3D world elsewhere. You have many choices. Yet the vast majority of you, as we have said, will return to Earth. Once the incarnation has occurred, you do not lose your connection to the lifetime you've just left. However, there will be a mixture of information, as you might imagine, from the life you have now to the life you will assume next time. The DNA will be different. The location on the planet may be different. And so there you go into the next lifetime, taking information from the previous lifetime into the next one. And those things mix. And now, in your mind, imagine how complex the human being is after 60 or 70,000 lifetimes. So you can ask yourself, am I related to every other human on the planet? It's a good possibility. But your time between lifetimes is a time of respite, a time of release, and a time of choice. We hear the question one of you is now asking: how do we make a conscious choice from this lifetime to the next? Well, you're in the right place because the more you breathe space into the tension in your body, the more you release the information from the past, this lifetime, and others. The freer you are in the transition space, the easier it is for your consciousness of your soul to make a choice for the next lifetime. So you're doing great work by being here, by understanding and releasing the tension in the body, and bringing your heart, your brain, and your belly into a greater state of coherence. When you each fully understand yourselves and every vibrational pattern and frequency that makes you who you are, plus understand the symbiotic relationship you have with your planet. It's a conversation you are having with her, a love affair, a relationship. When you understand that, it is easier for her and for yourself to release the bond that you have with the earth and your perpetual state of death and rebirth in the human form. We hope that this answer is broad enough and specific enough for all of the many questions we've heard you ask during the course of the answer. But if you need to clarify even further, send another question to us so that we can answer more specifically. And we will take the next question.
We're now 2 minutes to the top of the hour. The next question comes from Melina. Following your recent mention of scalar technology, could you please explain how scalar fields function from an energetic perspective, how they interact with the human energy system and living spaces, and what mechanisms are involved in their vibrational effects?
This question is most important for those of you who wish to understand how to interrupt the patterns and vibrational frequencies within you of being out of alignment with your heart. Scalar technology is extremely simple. It creates a field in the ring itself that interrupts the flow of all patterns and frequencies going in any direction. So if you create one of these scalar rings and you stand within it, you'll find that it's going to change how you feel in the moment. For those of you with greater sensitivities, you may immediately begin to feel a little lightheaded. Notice how the body feels when you are standing in one of these rings. It is important also to know that the size of the ring matters. Not every circle is going to produce the result that you desire. So allow the information that already exists in your world to come forth when you are creating one of these rings. The material also matters. Man-made plastics are not helpful in this form of circular technology. There is also technology in the triangle, the square, the rectangle, and then in the three-dimensional forms of each of these, the sphere, the pyramid, the cube, and to practice with these to see which one is going to produce the greatest results for you. There are many humans on your planet who have already been creating these types of devices. So use what you already have in front of you and modify it as is necessary. You're in a relationship with the natural world, as we have described. So the material that feels that it is most in alignment with your heart is going to produce the best results. For those of you with illness in the body, these rings, these devices, pyramids, can assist in the healing process. However, avoid overdoing it. Anything that you do with and to your body and its vibrational patterns and frequencies has a sweet spot, and you need to come to understand where that spot is. So, how many minutes would be optimal for you? Only you can know. How many minutes within the ring? How many minutes within the sphere? How many minutes within a color of light? Only you can know exactly what is best for you and your body. The body is a delicate thing, and overdoing anything could produce negative results. So, for example, your vitamins. Taking one may be helpful. Taking two may be devastating to the system. So you have to be able to perceive in your body anything that is producing a vibrational pattern and frequency of change within you. The point at which it brings you into a state of coherence, of love, of connection, is where you need to pause. The amount of time, the dosage, the experience, the length of the sides of the pyramid, or the length of the piece that you use to make the ring. All of that needs to be perceived within the body. There is no standard setting for any of this, and to try to standardize it is perhaps an error in your own judgment, because we have already described how complex it is to be you, the many lifetimes you've experienced, the information that has brought itself together to manifest in the being you are right now. If that complexity is understood, then so too would be the use of scalar technology, of pyramid technology, of light technology, of substances in the form of supplements. That technology is different for everyone in the way it is received and in the benefits it has to offer. So for some of you who are sick, perhaps you're doing too much. Start at nothing, add a little bit in, and practice. See how it goes. Make it into a game of understanding yourself and your body a bit better. We also know that this scalar technology, these rings that you can make, that you can purchase, that you can practice with, can be placed in your spaces, clearing the energetic patterns and frequencies within your rooms, within your homes, your offices, your cars. And keep in mind, you will need to pay attention on behalf of the space as well. Too much is not always the best option. You may find that you need to dial it back, even in a space. Throwing your space out of balance will likely throw your body out of balance as well. You're in a symbiotic relationship with all things around you. So the perceptual state within you that we are discussing right now, you understand, and it is no different from the perceptual state needed for communication with us or your starseed origin beings. Have a fun time with the game you're about to enjoy in the time that you have to do so. Yes, we know you're all busy. We hear your thoughts. You're not too busy for this, because when you are having fun, it doesn't feel like work. And if your work feels like work, it's time for you to imagine another possibility, that work is just a game, and that you can expand more, expand within yourself a little wider, and reduce the tension around what you perceive to be work, so that it is a game and it is play, and you can enjoy that experience. We are complete today with the questions and answers. The dimensional beings in the space are beginning to recede. The earth beings who are out of your visual range are beginning to recede. They have enjoyed this experience immensely today. The violet people are receding from the space. And now we, the blue healers, are also receding from the space. All right. Thanks for the wonderful questions. I'm always impressed by how they answer them. Today it seemed they were answering long form instead of short form. And it is because I can hear your thoughts. They can hear your thoughts through my head. If there are any clarifying questions, please feel free to unmute yourselves. I'll give you the opportunity to do so. And there you go. You can ask a question if you have one.
Hi, Jan. On the out breath of that earth, I guess we call it the heart breath we did from the earth up to 8 and then down to the heart. The spiral, so we bring it up both legs. You said straight line, and then when it hits 1, it's a spiral up to 8. Do we spiral down to the heart or just straight line?
Yes, spiral down to the heart.
Okay, and
Yeah,
spiral down the arms as well.
it's single arms, single down the arms. So spiral from 8 to the heart. The two DNA strands will split and go down the arms through the palms. Good
Okay, thank you
question.
so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What they're doing is they're recalibrating your DNA from two strand to when it releases its need for the story that it is right now, then the multiple strands of DNA can come through. So they're working with 12 strands of DNA within each individual on the planet. And the more awareness you have, the more DNA strands activate. So what they're doing is they're encouraging those DNA strands to communicate together and to allow themselves to be separate as well. Great question. Thank you, Cheryl.
Yes. And then
Uh,
also the regular breaths that you do in the sessions, is it the same as well when we go through 0 to 9 or 1 to 8 and then back down to each chakra? They're all spirals on the down as well as the up?
yeah, so I'd love to clarify that. This is great. The spiral breath from 8 to 1, when it comes down around the spine, it stays in the 2 strand. It's down to 1 and up to 8, and then down to 2 and up to 8, and 3 and 4. So, what that breath practice does, to clarify, it is it is a two parts. One, it's bringing information from 8, the collective of humanity, back in to reinform the cells with answers to your questions, also with healing energy. So, for every condition that exists within any individual in this space, there's information for how to heal it in the collective of humanity in 8. And so that information will come in from 8 and it will disseminate to the body through the nerves and the nervous system. What happens with the exhale, it's like a vortex of energy. Your DNA begins to pull in from the energy field around you through the cells of the physical body into that spiral and release it back up to 8. So you are, in essence, releasing unnecessary energy from the body or illness, disease, discomfort, lack of coherence from the body up into 8, because it's a little like a compost pit up there. You're not putting negative things into the collective of humanity. You're putting information that then begins to swirl and spiral in the 8th energy center that returns itself in the form of health and wellness. Because that's how compost works, right? You throw in your scraps of whatever from your kitchen, you add water and shovel it around, and it turns into beautiful soil that is some of the richest, most beautiful soil on the planet. So you're a little like a compost machine. It goes up to 8 into the compost field. You bring back information down, and you can work with that spiral in any way that you like. The basic information is presented to you. So if that spiral wants to come out around your entire energy field and really create a wide vortex and pull that information in, the key thing is don't try to fix yourself with this breath practice. Instead, open the heart and allow the spiral to do the work without your brain having to think about what it's doing. It's going to do the work it needs to do without your head hijacking the process. You can throw an intention out there. Today, I would like to release the tension around childhood trauma 1, childhood trauma 2, whatever it is, my current state at my job, anything. Throw out the intention, then just let it go. Stop thinking about it and just focus on the beauty and expansion of that spiral breath. Also, too, when you're doing that spiral breath, say you feel a lot of tension specifically in your throat. You may continue spiraling to 5 and 5 to 8 for 20 minutes. It could be whatever it feels you need in order to feel this space, this energy center, begin to relax, right? And again, don't force yourself to do anything. That's the opposite direction of the work that the blue healers are explaining to us. It's more about relaxing, less about trying and doing. The heart breath is a little bit different, and I would love to explain it in terms of the spiral because I don't often say it out loud. And there are videos from the past where they explain it in the same way that I'm going to explain it now. You don't have to try to force anything. You literally can just set the intention to do the heart breath and then just breathe. It's going to do it for you. Your body knows what to do. So, yes, the energy comes from 8 in through 6 and 5, right in here. So it arcs out. And there's a reason for that. In through 6 and 5, and it comes down to 4. And 4 expands wide, right? And then with the exhale, it contracts and it comes forward out of the heart in your energy field, around to the back of the heart, and rises back up the spine to 8. And you can do it with any of the energy centers. The cool thing is, and most of you haven't heard this, but if you have, great, is that you come from here and look, it's 2 strands, right? 1, 2. And then they do a spiral down to the heart. And then when they come out the front, they split, 1 right, 1 left, around to the back. When they enter the heart, they then spiral back up to 8. The reason the blue healers don't give that direction to you generally is that because this breath practice has been done so frequently amongst many of you, that it's already happening without the words being spoken. They will continue to speak the words when they feel even one person in the space is not in alignment with the way they are delivering it as they are speaking it through me. So you can, with your intention, see 8 in through 6 and 5, those single strands together spiral to the heart. It expands wide. And then when it contracts, they split again around to the back and spiral up to 8. So that is technically how the heart breath is done. But if it's confusing to you, just breathe. It'll happen on its own. All right. Did that clarify it for you? Great. All right. Deepa, your next question.
Hi, how are you, Jan? Thank you so much for today. It's just honestly life-changing. I blocked my clinic out for this hour to spend it with you all.
Thank you.
It's really trying to understand more of this previous question. So the Because it's almost like these breaths have variations of each other, and I was trying to write them down, but you gave a lot of information right now. The 8, so when you're bringing in from the outside, but as soon as you get into 7, you start spiraling, and you're basic, to keep it simple during the time that we're listening or in a meditation, any of these will do, right? Because I know that there's a grounding one there, which seems like it it helps for anxiety. There's the heart one that you mentioned, and then there's like the 8 to 1 or 8 to 0, or then 8 to 2. Can you just kind of divide them up a little bit so I can understand them in in columns or where they belong for me? Or
They each have a specific purpose, the individual breath practices. And the heart breath is mostly designed for you as an individual to connect to the heart and allow the heart to connect to the brain and the belly, to create coherence. The fastest way into coherence, and this question is an excellent one, is by doing the spiral breath from 9 to 0 and 0 to 9. You can try jumping right into it from there, but I do recommend that you start with 8 to 1 and go through the whole pattern and cycle. 8 to 1, 1 to 8, 8 to 2, 2 to 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 to 7, 7 to 8, and then take 8. If you feel the body is relaxed, then go 8 to 0, which is below the energy center 1, and 0 back up to 9. And I assure you, you do 0 to 9 enough times, you might just fall over on your meditation cushion, because that is the fastest way into coherence, is the 0 to 9. And I'll tell you why. It's because the quantum field exists within your spine. The spine itself is a torus, and within it, there is space, right? Your energy comes up from 1. Generally speaking, the human body has its own cleansing system. It goes out through the top of the head, about 18 inches, about the length of my arm. It circles around. So this is your orb, your space bubble. We tell kids, your space bubble goes down into the earth, about the same number, not this much. And it comes back up through the first energy center in this endless cycle, the body. And that is just how the energy system of the body works. And it's a sphere. It's completely around you. So it's not just out to the sides. It's all over. Like you're inside, a giant ball of energy. That's your own. It's you. And that's how we communicate with each other. In addition to it going out through the top, right? We're talking 7 and 1. The other energy centers are doing the same thing front to back. And that's why that breath front to back is very natural for you. Your body's already doing it. You're just giving it a little bit of intention. So here you are in your energy sphere, and it's circling around this way and front to back. If you think about a fountain, the water comes out the top and it sprouts out, right? But down in the middle, it's dry. So that's the same. Your quantum field is down through the center of your spine. So when you are connecting 0 to 9, you're connecting the quantum field within you. And all it's going to do is create, for people who speak in the elements, it creates ether. So that is going to make you feel a little lightheaded. So just be mindful when you're doing that and you get into a state of coherence. You may feel your entire body dissolve, and you might perceive it as numbness, but really it's not. It's just that you have stepped outside of 3D, time and space, because you're in the quantum field that exists in your spine, and all your cells have been reminded of the empty, the quantum within them as well. So uh, when you ask about getting into coherence, that's the fastest way. When you ask about the individual breath practices, of course, the spiral is the cleansing breath. That's what they call it. The heart is the connection breath. It's reminding you of your relationship to your own heart. And again, as was said in this session, you can use that with other people. So in other words, I do this with my granddaughter every single day. I do a breath practice. She's far, far away. She's not in the same state, but I still do the breath practice for her. And doing it for your children is something that I would encourage, so long as you're remembering that you're keeping this into your own heart, that you're in coherence with your own heart. Um, because sometimes talking about this to other people, they don't receive it that well. It's not in their, it's not where they are in the world. They're in their own world. So if you are doing this practice and you're not asking for um, consent, the heart breath is the one breath you can do without consent. Just make sure that you're in alignment with what is coherent within you before you're doing it.
The blue
The other,
healers during the course of they said, we're going to wait till everyone comes into coherence. I suddenly became alarmed. I'm like, oh my God, am I going to be the one who's not in coherence?
I heard you. That's why they often say, don't panic. You're fine. You're not doing anything wrong. Everything's okay. They do say a lot of that. So yes, I hear all of those. And if the answer is rambling on, know that it is by their design. They are waiting because the answer for them is not in the words. They're waiting until the vibrational pattern and frequency of the answer is received by everybody in the space. And it only takes a fraction of a second for the person who is really struggling with or afraid that they're not going to get it to pause in a breath, and that message goes in, and then they move on to the next question. So that's what they do. They're kind of doing this energetic dance with all of you as a collective, as the questions are being answered. And you probably notice this. Someone will ask a question, and the answer will sound random and totally off in a tangent, and that's because they're hearing all of your thoughts, which is a great thing. And then they answer the ones that feel like it's most important to say the message in the moment. So that's how that happens. Um, just so you know, in Bali, uh, there will be all these breath practices will be done, and they will be done in succession and in combinations that will create. So that is really where it's kind of like a little learning chamber, understanding more about the breath practices, the individual ones, and how they relate to each other and to the body and all of humanity. So keep an eye out for that. When that does come around, it's going to be a very potent experience, but it's hard in 1 hour of Q&A to explain all the breath practices and how they kind of come together. But there will be spaces for that in the future, starting with Bali, and then after that, we'll see. There may be more
Well, I'll be
that'll
coming to
do.
Bali for sure.
Awesome. Love to have you there. That'll be great. Okay, Tim, I'd like to answer your question now.
Hey, hello, Jan. I just want to say I'm really grateful to Deepa. I hope you're still there, Deepa,
I'm
for your.
here.
Hello, Deepa. Yes, thank you. This is Tim. I'd have thanked you in our conversations, but
Yes.
I'm really grateful for your questions. They resonate with me. So, and actually, what you said about the nervousness of us all being a group together, trying to breathe together, and feeling responsible for how that affects others, that was significant for me too. So, Jan, you may have heard me worrying. So, Jan, my question is, I've been practicing the breath on and off, through the day, mostly though in the evening to try and get myself to sleep and relax and get my nervous system to calm down. I do the breathing. I get a little caught up in the technicalities of, oh, is this right? Am I feeling what I'm supposed to be feeling and this kind of thing? But a development happened, which I thought might be interesting to everyone. I started to see lights with my eyes closed. I was seeing lights in a sort of panoply of lights all around, and they took the shape of anemones. And I don't know if resonates with anyone else, but Jan, is that something that you've heard of before? It was, I think I mentioned about manta rays or a feeling of some sub-aqua beings.
Yeah.
The anemones were fantastic, and beautiful colors, and a sort of feeling of plant and anemones from under the ocean. And then a cushion appeared, a cushion with patterns on it. Anyway, that I won't ramble on, but is that something? I think I see you smiling, so possibly it's something that I'm not the only one that sees this.
Yeah, this sounds perfectly normal to me. It sounds like you have a true connection with the Aquafarians or an Aquafarian group. And patterns on our planet um, are just an iteration of other patterns that are very similar throughout the universe. So you're beginning to see the location of your starseed origins. So there is a water component to this. The anemones themselves, I find that part really fascinating. Of course, I live here where the ocean is rich with life forms that we have never seen. So it also sounds to me as if you are beginning to perceive the many life forms that are in our own ocean that maybe you haven't even seen before, that exist wherever they are. And that could be a place where you like to vacation or a place where your heart feels connected, you'd like to visit. So this is a very good sign that you're beginning to open to the communications from the dimensional worlds. So I would, as long as your heart is feeling happy and connected in the experience, lean into it and keep going. Because what may happen is if you do have an origin that is Aquafarian and it's from another place, another star system, they will begin to eliminate what is familiar to you on the Earth planet first. And that will be all the species that are connected to anything that exists in their realm. And so that's really a great illustration for everyone of the unfolding process that you will see, of course, the familiar first because you're wired as a human. And then the fantastical may start coming in, or you may start hearing or perceiving the voice of your starseed origin being who will be the communicator for the entire group. Because that's generally how it works. They pick one person to do all the talking because that's easiest for humans to understand. Because when we communicate, right, we do one to one, even if it's one to many, like we're standing in front of a room and we're talking to 1,000 people, you're still talking one person at a time, in a sense. But for them, they speak collectively, which is just a different way of perceiving. And the human brain is expanding to explore that option and to be able to do that option. So, yeah, you're unfolding, Tim. This is exciting.
Yeah, I find it fascinating. It's because, as you know, I'm a person of words. Words have been everything to me, and so now that the idea that it's a bit of a break, actually, not to have to think in words to get images. Oh, and music too. I'm playing keyboard a lot more. The music's coming through much more easily. So, thank you, Jan.
Mm, you're welcome. Add music to the anemones. See what that
Oh,
sound is when you see them.
okay, will do.
Yeah, that's a great start for the opening of the communication and how you're perceiving and communicating with the dimensional beings. Very excited.
Thanks, Jan.
Uh, you're welcome. Gillian, I'll take your question as the last question.
Hi, Jan. Thank you. I'm very new to your work, very familiar with Joe Dispenza's work. So, um, interestingly, in the session today, I put up a question on the reel because I wasn't really sure how it worked on the comments, and the beings answered a very similar question almost straight away about the lady's eyesight and because I have hearing loss, and it was exactly resonant with my question, and it's exactly what I know through all my work previous is the issue for me. Not wanting to hear something, perhaps as they said, or from a childhood, a time in childhood, but also having a stipulation on time in the healing process. And I'm just wondering, like I get all of that, and I'm really struggling with letting it go and surrendering, I suppose. And I'm just, yeah, any tips?
Your voice cut out for a moment. Did you ask a question in that process at the end
Oh,
there?
sorry. Sorry. Yeah. Well, I just said, is there any tips for like surrendering, I think, really to the time frame and to, yeah, the time frame really and the necessity to fix myself. Like, yeah.
Sure. Yes. Thank you for this question, because I do think that because as 3D beings we exist in time and it's kind of this linear experience, we forget that the pause in between the moments, uh, that's where the infinite lies. So really, time is strung together by the infinite connecting sort of a more compressed expression of all things, if that makes any
Mm-hmm.
sense. That's the gravity
Mm.
word they use a lot. And I'm going to answer this question by telling a story. So I hear very frequently when people are in proximity, meaning humans are close to me in the human form, that people have a hard time hearing my voice, a very soft voice. And conversely, I sometimes have challenges with hearing. So, of course, I do the human thing and I go to the audiologist and they put me in a booth and they do all the little beeps. And I come out and the guy said basically, I heard every single sound, even ones that the majority of people can't hear. I thought, well, that's interesting because why would it be that I am perceiving, having challenges hearing things? And I had to reorganize my thoughts around sensory perception and hearing specifically, or even the sound of my voice. And it is that we hear or see outside of the normal human spectrum. So, loss of hearing maybe is the opposite of what's really going on. There may be an expansion of hearing sounds or frequency that is not generally associated with the tiny spectrum of sound that we believe we hear. And when we start to challenge the consensual reality of humanity or challenge what we believe our perceptual or our senses are capable of perceiving, we may find that there's no longer a scale involved. And I tell this story in relationship to what you've asked because it's very easy to panic when you feel that something's wrong with your body.
Mm.
And it's not just, let's say it this way, for anyone who has a phone or a television or even pumps gas, because there are now screens apparently on gas pumps. I don't have a gas car, but I've seen them when I've rented cars. You're being constantly bombarded by this need for rushing through life, this need for figuring things out. And you can't watch television for an hour and watch less than 15 pharmaceutical commercials about fixing your body. And it's interesting how we have evolved as a species to feel a sense of urgency in our lives.
Mm.
But as we begin to understand timelessness and to lovingly question everything that we know, question reality every time, it's like, wow, maybe this reality is something greater than what I believe it to be. Maybe my body is speaking to me with symptoms for something greater than just whatever diagnosis fits on the line. So I would say that if you are a person who feels the tension in the body around urgency the fear of doing it wrong, or the fear that you're going to be the one that it won't work on, uh, know that that's just information. And your mind is trying to remind you of your wholeness, not of brokenness, but of your wholeness. It's saying to you, here's a little bit of information, a symptom, a thought. And really, it's directing you into the past, um, so that the past can simply be illuminated. Uh, for example, I have done 30 years of trauma therapy, 30 years, literally, because of experiences I had in my childhood. We all have traumatic experiences. Even tripping and falling on a playground or losing your teeth could be perceived as trauma by a child. And some of us have real trauma, like significant trauma. And what happens throughout the lifetime, especially if the trauma is not addressed in the moment. And granted, as a parent of children, I know that it's impossible to really address trauma in your children. Um, all of it, that it becomes their work, and that's okay. It's their agreement of being here. But in doing trauma therapy and trauma work, it's just reminded me how one experience way back in the past, when you're too little to understand in your brain what really happened, it sort of explodes out into like fireworks. So, fireworks, if you've ever seen them, they're like these little orbs and they get rocketed into the sky and they explode everywhere, right? It's the same with trauma in childhood. And as the blue beings have said, we are wired for trauma. And it's part of the agreement we have of just right now, because that's the story that we're choosing to believe, that trauma happens and then we spend all of our lifetime dealing with it, either consciously or unconsciously. Consciously is great. That means we get to take accountability for our actions and as they relate to the trauma that we had in our childhood. Or there's the unconscious one. And we see a lot of this where people just, cut a swath through their lives, like a wrecking ball and taking people down with them as much as they can. And none of it is bad. It's just experiences, just observations. But for us, when we are experiencing sensations of the need to rush, we're not good enough and not doing it well, right? These are all those things they talk about in psychological work. It's simply the body giving you information saying, go ahead and illuminate where this comes from. Take a moment, just identify it. It's like, oh, I feel tense, or I feel the sense of urgency, or I feel afraid that nobody will like me, or I feel I'll be the one who fails. Um, just identify that in the moment and say to yourself, okay, breathing is not helping. Move this, because sometimes just the breath and meditation, we can release that and be like, oh, yeah, that's that old thing I've told myself, imposter syndrome, or, you know, like FOMO, all those things that we say, or, I'm not good enough, whatever those stories are. Sometimes the breath in our meditations, we can release that tension, right? Just with the breath, release the tension. But if you find you're breathing or you're meditating and that tension's not going away, you're essentially torturing yourself with the meditation process. And you are re traumatizing yourself if you think about it, because your mind's still going back to that same place. That's when I would recommend you just take a moment to say to yourself, wow, I'm feeling this thing again. It's a pattern. I know it's in me, and feeling not good enough, or I won't get it done quickly enough, or I'll be punished if I don't do it in the right amount of time, or I'm not perfect. That's a small voice inside you. And that's where I would say, then you want to interrupt that pattern by looking within and saying, when did I feel this way last? And it could be yesterday, an hour ago, your spouse, your kids, your family, your whatever, your coworkers, the barista. Um, and then dial it back even more. Just keep interrupting it. It's like, yeah, I don't think that was the first time I felt that. When was the first time? And just allow yourself to go on a journey. And you may find yourself looking at yourself as a little child. Like, geez, that experience I had with my parents, my siblings, my grandparents at school, whatever it is. Uh, then you breathe into that and you love that child and you wrap your arms around the child who felt rushed by its parents, right? We all felt rushed. We were in play zone and then we had to go somewhere and mom lost her mind and started screaming at us and it was always just this like, oh yeah, when you're little you don't think about it. You feel everything with every cell of your body. And so that becomes kind of a memory that echoes and reverberates throughout your life. You can blame your mom, I don't recommend it, but the fact of the matter is, we're a society that's very rushed and that idolizes perfection and success and you know, you feel sick, take a pill. It's just our society, and we can either live with that or we could journey into the past, and then you take that breath practice that you have and breathe into the heart of that child who's suffering, because it's you. And the more you can wrap your arms around that little person who was harried and frightened, or whatever the story is, the more you can breathe and space into their heart. Now we're talking about now we're talking about getting into the quantum field and communication with the dimensional beings. Because you gotta release the tension of that pressure within you that is not about today and this thought you're having right now. It's gonna go way, way back. So try that aspect next. I always love the idea that we're going to sit in meditation. It's all going to melt away without ever having to do anything else. But examining your thoughts and where they come from can really create a lot of alleviation for you. And that will open up a whole other world of magic on a level that will blow your mind. So I hope that answers your question more specifically. All illness I have discovered is associated with this same thing, the tension in the body from experiences of the past that are just echoing through into this moment in time, trying to say, knock on your door and say, hey, that thing that happened when you were little, it's operational right now. And your body is trying to manage it, but it can't anymore. So it's going to create symptoms. It's really that simple. So hopefully
Thank
that's
you.
helpful. You're
Very.
welcome.
Thank you so much, Jen. Really helpful.
Yeah, you
Thank you.
betcha. Yeah, and we're all here as a collective. The blue beings are here just to hold space for all of that in all of you. There's a tremendous amount of compassion and empathy they feel for the struggles that we bring to them every time we visit them. And they just keep expanding and expanding their vibrational pattern through that breath practice of like, okay, even if we impact one cell, I can hear them saying, even if we impact one cell in an individual, it changes all the information in the body. And it's just that consistent pattern of coherence and love in the heart and the breath and connecting here that changes all of us. So I really love that you're all here to be part of that. Okay. Sending you tons of love from the islands. All right. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Tuesday. And don't forget, I'll be at the AFU in San Diego. If you're going to be there, reach out to me because I'm going to have a session in San Diego for all of you.
Do you know when that session will be so I can make sure my flight's appropriate for it?
Yep, I will be doing one on the 6th, one on the 10th, and then there is a meet and greet that somebody is organizing that everyone's welcome to join on the beach. I heard something about just a kind of a meet and greet, get to know each other and say hi. Love to see you all in person. So yeah, starting the 6th and ending the last one will be on the 10th.
Will someone post the times for that sooner rather than later?
Uh, yes, I'll do my best. Part of it is just I don't know the schedule yet on the 10th. So that one might be a little more spontaneous. It'll be after the whole retreat is over.
Okay.
I avoid doing any conflict with crossover. I
Yeah, because I have a
respect,
red eye going out that night, so I'm just
yeah,
wondering. Of
I always respect the space of
course.
For Dr. Joe, that is his space, and I just look at it as an opportunity for us to meet in 3D and say hi to each other and all the hugs and stuff. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Bye, everybody. Have a great
Bye.
week. See
Bye.
you next week.